there. My name is Steph Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks, and that is right in the middle of your head, James. So I'm going to try.
I'm blotted out.
I'm going to try to move this, but we had to make some sudden changes in our set, and so here we are. But I think that's going to work, and now you can see Sweepy J.
Yeah, hi there.
Anyway,
Hello.
we got bumped off the air last week, but we think we have solved the problem.
Yes.
In the meantime, however, we've gotten some new equipment, and we don't know if the voice and the piano are at good levels with each other. So if anything is terrible, would you just please
Tell us.
let us know? You
Meanwhile, I'm Sweet Baby James, otherwise known as James Maynard, and I'll be handling the chat tonight, so please chat with us. And I'll pass it on to Beth, and she'll chat with you live in person.
Yes, if you're live in person, while I'm live in person, then I can talk to you live in person. Otherwise, I can only talk to you afterwards.
Via comments. Yeah.
So whichever way, please feel free to comment. And let's see, don't forget to turn off the sound. And let's see if anybody is letting us know how we're doing. So, anyway, welcome to Granny Rocks. And tonight I'm going to be talking about, is the price or the cost of change too high? And it seems kind of like a stupid question, because you can say, well, it depends on the change, and it depends on the cost, and it depends on this. But anyway, I think I may have a few things to say about this.
I'm sure you do.
Well, you know how it is. People are always saying, oh, but I can't. Yeah, that would be great, but...
It costs too much. The cost is too high.
Let's see. Is anybody saying anything to us?
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
Oh my, look at here. Elizabeth says hi there, and she sends a heart of love.
Like there's something before that.
And let's see. Catalina says hi. Hello back to you.
Oh, Beth's mic is very low.
Oh, pick up that mic and crank it up.
How is that? I hope that's better. It's not. I can see that it's not even picking me up. All right, how is that? Hello.
Yeah, let us know.
Okay.
Tracy says hello and sends a heart of love.
Hello.
Back at you, Tracy.
Yes.
And Elizabeth says hi there and sends a heart of love also.
Okay.
And then Todd says, I agreed with Catalina
Okay.
that the mic is too low for you. And then Tracy says it's hard to hear Beth. I hear James and the piano okay. I can hear Beth. It's just soft.
Okay. Piano sounds great. Yes, James' mic is great. Beth's is too low. Okay. Have I improved?
Yeah. Give us an update, please.
What the heck is going on now? I thought I had everything solved.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know, because I keep turning my volume up, and I shouldn't have to.
And what about your pack
Still
over
too
here?
low for Beth.
Hey, here it is.
I didn't turn
Here it
it
is.
on.
This was off.
Okay.
How's about them apples?
Okay, we were kind of in a hurry, and I messed up. So, there you go.
Yeah.
It's been a madhouse here, and we've gotten, at the last minute we got new equipment, and we just ran on, and hopefully, no, it sounds the same.
Well, that was
okay.
a minute ago, though.
Okay, well, hopefully this sounds much better. In fact, I'm probably too loud. Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
Thank you,
yes.
Tracy.
Okay. Yes, I'm here, and nobody's pushing me out, no
That's
matter
right.
what.
Yep.
Okay, so, the reason that I'm thinking about the cost of change being too high is that we're going through a lot of changes here. And they involve a lot of money.
Oh, and Todd says it's working now, and it's not too loud.
Yay!
Todd.
Oh, boy. So it involves a lot of money. So we're looking at, we've done this and we've done that to try to make it all work. And then good balance with the piano. Oh, yes.
And Catalina says, sounds fixed. Yes. Yay!
So we're all set forever now with the new
Yep,
equipment.
yep,
We
that's
needed
right.
you to give us feedback. So thank you. So anyway, and I was feeling really great about this change. And all of a sudden tonight, I started thinking, oh, no, no, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. It's too expensive.
The cost is too high.
Too high. And what is so weird is we just sold our car like 2 hours ago, and that's one of the reasons that we're
That's right.
in another city, and we had
We
to
still
take.
have our motorhome van conversion, but
Right.
now we're a one vehicle family.
We're right, nothing for the snow. Anyway, and so you would think then that I would be more relaxed, because we suddenly have a little money to put down on this thing. But oh no, you're going to find out what it is, by the way, soon. So so why all of a sudden am I thinking that the cost is too high when we just got some cash to help with the outrageous payments? And so I started thinking about, what does change really cost? And why do people react? Now, how often have you, I know I'm babbling, but I'm really babbling with a point. I got the dog, right? I got the dog maybe 6 weeks ago. Now, what was the cost of the dog? Well, it's not just the money, and there was plenty of money involved, but it's also the time, the energy. Right now, I'm feeling like I'm going to collapse, right? That's part of the cost. So when we think of cost, a lot of times we only think about money. Money, 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 money makes
Well, it was
the
a big
world go
change for
round.
you, wasn't it? Because now you had this extra person to take care of. The energy, the time, all the rest.
Just right when we're doing a million other things. But is it too high? You know, when I'm lying there with Charlie and he's being like a total doll and such a devoted boy,
And
I
so
think,
loving.
oh yes, I think, oh no, this was wonderful. But when he's a brat like he was today, ignoring me, running after every skirt in the dealership where we went to sell our car, I said, oh, the cost of Charlie was too high. See, now what was being attacked was my ego.
Right.
See, because it was the
That's right.
cost of my ego that I didn't feel like wonderful, like, oh, he loves me, when he's just like lying on my lap. He said, oh, he loves me. But he was out there today flirting with other people and following them around, making me feel bad about myself. And suddenly the cost of Charlie was too high, right? I could say, well, too much energy, too much effort. In fact, I may have a cold. I hope I don't have COVID. I just started coughing and sneezing, but you can't catch it from me. That's the great thing about this, right? And maybe I just have a cold or allergies or something else. So what I noticed is the cost of the change is not just the money, and it's not just the time and the energy, it's the ego. What is the ego paying for this?
Oh, that's where I come in.
Oh, it is. But let me say a little bit more about that.
Okay.
When I take Charlie for walks, he drags my arms around, and then I can't play the piano. But in order for me to get a break from having him drag me around, I have to let this guy walk the dog. Well, now the dog is beginning to bond with this guy. So the cost, again, is so the cost of that change is like, oh, yeah, I'm going to benefit because now he's not dragging my arm. And the cost is, oh, I don't have him all to myself. So that's a cost of my ego. All right? So that's a really important point that we don't tend to look at. Now, if you want to say something about that, you may. You already said you wanted to.
Well, on that theme, my ego's been having a very hard time with this change in lifestyle of selling our car, a wonderful car, and it served us extremely well. It's fun to drive, very maneuverable. I use it for shopping around town and so on. For the sake of raising enough money to make it doable for acquiring a concert grand piano,
I
which
know.
would create very powerful
Vibrational
music,
energy
vibrational energy.
that we are hoping is going to make the healing music more impactful.
And I'm all for that because I've gotten tremendous benefit from that vibrations from this piano, let alone imagine a 9-foot concert grand piano. Woo!
In a house
so-
that we can't afford, right?
And my change is that by letting go of this car, I'm letting go of the egoic need, desire to go into the silo as I drive off. Hi-ho, silver and away, the Lone Ranger goes
Zipping
driving
around
about town, you know?
We have a 19.5-foot van, which is now our only vehicle.
It's a motorhome.
It's a motorhome, and you have to drive it slower, and it takes more time to park, and you don't zip, and he doesn't feel like, a young stud.
Right.
But it's right for the family,
Yeah.
It's not great
And
when
it's right
it
for me
snows.
at my age and stage in life. I mean, I kind of have to stop trying to be a race car driver, you know?
See? So there's another example. I mean, letting go of the car is an example of, wow, what was the price of that? Well, of course, we got cash out of it. The price is, now we won't have a good car for the snow anymore, which we used to have. And that means that we can't go out when it's snowing and it's very...
treacherous.
we have... Dog
Kimberly says the dog will be happy to come along more often, and that is so true.
Yes.
Because the motorhome has air conditioning, it has heating. We can leave the dogs in the motorhome while I'm shopping.
Yes.
Not a problem.
Yes, if that is in fact what you're talking about, it is absolutely true. You may, if you're referring to some other aspect, let us know. But yeah, that's exactly right. And the dog is very happy going on walks with James, and he's happy when he comes back and sees me.
Oh, yeah, he comes running to you at the end of each of these walks.
Yeah, because he thinks he's going to be getting a treat. I miss seeing your pup.
Oh, I miss seeing your pup.
Well, okay. You want to pick him up?
Where is he?
He's on the
I see
ground
him
right
there.
next to me.
Okay,
All
I'll get
right,
him.
James is going to bring him up.
I'm the muscles in this
Okay,
outfit.
so now we're seeing that there is some hidden costs to change. Okay, so some of the costs that we are all aware of is, changes in our relationships. Like, suddenly
Charlie,
I get
come on
sober, for example, and everybody around me is used to me being drunk. And now I'm getting sober, and now I'm starting to speak up about things because I'm more clear-headed, for example. Or because I'm demonstrating that you can, in fact, stop drinking and survive, and maybe you're afraid to stop drinking for yourself, or you're having a tough time with it. So then people might say, the cost to me of you stopping drinking is that I have to think about myself. Especially when you were purchasing your Eugene Spyglass home.
Well, that's right. Of course, we had different pups then.
We did. This is,
is
Charlie.
Charlie.
This is Charlie. So, he's usually a doll, but only when he does what I want and makes me feel good about myself. Isn't that important? Oh, Kim
hello,
says,
Fluffy, she says. Oh, he's a very fluffy doggy.
Very fluffy. Very cute.
Yeah.
4 years old and still thinks he's a puppy. We try to get an older dog so he would be peaceful and quiet. No. Yes, Charlie. I have not met Charlie. No, he's new. He's only been with us for 6 weeks. And we couldn't handle the puppy, but theoretically, I can handle Charlie. But anyway, I want to go back to the question of the cost of change. So,
right. Here we go.
Now let's take a look at something that we all know about and that we all share. I hope you're thinking about yourself, things that you might want to change, but you tell yourself, it's too much. Well, to think a little deeper on what is it that's too much about it, some maybe ego thing that's going on for you. So, for example, climate change. How long have we been told that we were going to have trouble because of climate change? And that if we didn't mend our ways, we were going to be in deep doo-doo. Now, I know there are still a couple of people on the planet who don't notice that there is climate change, but not too many. And there's a lot of people, who are beginning to listen to the scientists who said that we have created climate change with fossil fuel and methane and all that stuff. Well, every time somebody said, well, why don't we do green energy, or let's stop eating so much meat to reduce methane, or let's stop doing this, somebody said, that's too expensive.
Right. Well, Dawn says, hello, Beth, James, and piano playing dog.
That was Charlie.
Dawn was here when Charlie played the piano.
He did. He was sitting on my lap in one of the earlier shows. You would have liked that, Kimberly. And he started playing. So anyway, back to global warming. So we had plenty of warnings, and now we have a lot of damage, terrible weather, more instability, and it's costing a fortune.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Constantly costing a fortune in insurance claims, people losing their homes, losing health. But it's too expensive to fix the problem. See, but we're not saying, well, wait a minute, what is the cost of not changing? So that is the question that people, I'm not saying everybody.
Well, we're seeing one of the costs is the extinction of species, which could include us at some point.
Yes.
That's pretty high cost.
That is the expansion of people without consciousness, and the climate change, and the changes in society. But people don't want to hear about that because they say change is too expensive. We can't do that. We can't afford that. But what we can't afford is doing things the same way. So sometimes people get this sometimes about health. For instance,
I might add that when I made this decision to let go of the car, I was also letting go of an egoic identification with being younger than I am.
Oh, yeah.
Because this car had a sport feature on it. You could drive it like a sports car. So, hey, I'm 77 years old. What am I trying to be a young race car driver for? So that was an egoic identification with a way of being.
Right, and not being able to do that may mean that you will save your life and the lives of many other people because you're not careening into them. So we often don't look at the big picture of costs. I mean, I think the global warming example is very, very obvious. At the same time, there are other kinds of changes that we need to make in our lives. Now, what I was about to say was that for many people, when it comes to health, they're willing to spend money or go through pain and suffering because they feel their lives are at stake. But people may not want to get therapy because it's too costly. Whereas going on being brutal to yourself, being neurotic, being negative, what's the cost of that? Oh, everything. You just ruin your whole life being negative, but you don't want to spend money on therapy. That's another very simple example. Or it may be that if you actually did counseling or therapy, and I'm a counselor, so this is an example that's in my mind, you may have to look at yourself, and that is way too expensive. Oh, yeah. And we might say, oh, no, I don't want to spend the money on that, but maybe it's the cost to our egos of having to look at our own behavior and say, maybe it's me. Oh, no, it couldn't possibly be me. So you see there again, because I have been in so many situations with clients who come in and say, he. And of course, it's always true. But what about you? But see, that's a cost. looking at me is a cost. No, would you fix him, please? Would you kindly fix him? And I, who have been a counselor for, I don't know, since 1983, do the math. That's a long time. Full time. I was a counselor before that, but I became
About 40 years.
Full time counseling. You would think I would know better, but I remember going into couples counseling with my then husband, which was not Sweet Baby James, and it was like, are you going to fix him or aren't you going to fix him? And it was almost embarrassing that I was so naive and stupid and dumb, and I needed this guy to say to me, well, he may never change. The question is, what are you going to do? It's like, what? No. No. I want to stay married, and I want him fixed, and I want him fixed now. Because I don't want to feel like this. So I hope now, does anybody think about some example?
Well, there's a converse side to that, too. The cost of change of any one of us in a relationship, if we move ahead of where our spouse is or our significant other, we risk losing that relationship.
That's right.
That's a pretty interesting cost.
It is, because they may not like us that way. We may be speaking truth. We may be more powerful. There's a lot of things that can happen. And we may be bringing up feelings of inadequacy or insecurity in our mate, whoever that mate is. So, what I want you to do is think about something that maybe you are in the process of doing or are thinking about doing or would like to do, and that you've been saying, well, it's too expensive. Well, let's take a look. Honestly, how much of that expense is just money, time, and energy? How much of that expense is the effort to change our perceptions of ourselves? The effort that it requires for us to behave differently once we do change our perceptions of ourselves. So, for example, if we have been sick for a long time emotionally, let's say, and suddenly we start getting better, and then we start expecting ourselves to do more, or other people start expecting us to do more, that's a big cost. I can't just be a slug anymore. I can speak about this because I'm physically ill, right, all the time. But I have a little more strength. In fact, I went with Sweet Baby James. I mean, I have been so active lately. The music, the healing music that I've recorded has really helped me. So I'm still really, really sick, but I have more strength than I did. And today we had to go to this other city together. And we had to get a taxi because once we sold them the car, we had no way of getting home. And I don't drive because I can't see and I can't drive. And I have no idea where the front of the car is and where the back of the car is. So I'm not stupid. I'm not going out there and killing people because I can't figure out where the front of the car is. Oh, the front of there, that's where it was. I hit that thing. I hit that deer. That must have been the front of the car. So I had to get up off my, derriere and go out in the cold, and it was cold today, and, participate in the world because I'm getting stronger. And I used to say, oh, James, could you do that? Oh, James, could you do that? And it's not comfortable and it's not easy, but I am doing a lot more myself, and I'm tired. I mean, it's not like I'm well, but I can honestly say that, thank God, I'm changing, I'm getting a little stronger, and I have to face things that I used to be able to slough off on someone else. That is a cost of change. So as we see now, the question of what is the cost of change brings up, I'm going to kind of like summarize a lot of this. First of all, a lot of the cost is something in our ego that we want to hang on to. I want to have the right to behave this way. I want to have the right and privilege to get angry and blast my mate whenever I feel like it, and I don't want to get better because then I can't blast him anymore. Or I want to have the right to feel superior. Or I want, these are things. Or I want to have the right to look young or act studly or whatever it is. So those things are very piss poor. And so those are some of the ways that our egos get, or I want to have the right to hide so nobody can ever criticize me, or that I won't look bad to myself. So if I get better, I might, be out there. I'm scared to death of getting this 9-foot grand piano. I mean, not only is it like the cost of a small house in California or in Oregon, a really small house. In some cities, it would be the price of a house, or more than the price of a house. But anyway, I feel like, oh God, now I have to live up to this. What am I going to do? Now I'm going to really look bad. Or supposing I can't be more helpful, I can't blame my instrument. So there's a million things where the ego could be involved. But then there's also the question which I'm raising is, what is the cost of not changing? The destruction of our planet? Pretty obvious.
Or the destruction of our own lives.
That's right. Our souls. I want to share one more example before I wrap it up for tonight. It's the suppression of women on the planet. Everywhere we go, pretty much everywhere we go, we can see women being put in a subordinate position by men. Now, I don't think that men are gaining a darn thing for this. One of the things that came up when I was in the women's movement in the 70s, yes, the 1970s, was the powerlessness of women is the powerlessness of men. Meaning, if your wife has no money of her own, no status and no power, guess what? You're more vulnerable because you're the only one. Let's say your union wants to go on strike and you have one salary. That's tough, right? Scary. Or you may have to quit your job because things are bad. But if your wife also had, or your husband, or your non-binary, whatever, I don't really care what the sex is, the gender, but in terms of women, I want to say, if your partner has more resources, then you are not as stuck yourself. You're not the slave to the man, to the boss, right? To anybody. So there's a perfect example of how my powerlessness becomes your powerlessness. And yet, the typical male ego of the time when we were making this fight said, oh, no, I don't want my wife to have money. He may not even say it. I don't want my wife to go out. It used to be, I don't want my wife to go out to work. Well, women were working anyway in factories and on the farms and so on. I don't know what they were dreaming about. And plus taking care of the house. But it's like, I don't want to lose my status is what it comes down to, which is ego. And how silly is that? Because the cost of that is that you don't have the power of the partnership of a strong person. And if you're a woman and you're oppressing a man, or you are a them and you're oppressing another them, it all comes out the same thing. The person that you are oppressing, that you can feel superior to, is not a good partner because they don't have any power in themselves. You get it? What I'm trying to say? So that's another huge cost of the ego. So the person will say, no, I don't want my wife to do that. Then we'll have to get child care, or, or my husband to do it.
Well, she'll have her own money and she can do what she wants.
That's right, which I don't want. We don't want her to be independent. So another great example of how there is a cost to not changing that. there is a cost to every society of oppressing anybody, whether it's a caste or a class or people with different gender identifications or any of those things. If we oppress those people, they cannot bring their full talents to us. And that is a huge cost that most people don't even think about.
Well, a big part of this too is the egoic competition. If you're constantly trying to win, it's at somebody else's expense, and then that diminishes that other person, or
That's
other
right.
persons, plural.
And it makes you sick inside, which is the biggest cost of all, is when we do the wrong thing and hide out and procrastinate in making change that is really necessary. It makes us sick inside because we are not stretching to our full potential. And deep, deep inside of us, we know that there's more for us in life than what we're already doing. I better shut up, even though I could talk on this topic a lot more. So, I hope you enjoyed our show tonight, and we didn't get bumped off the air, so the new equipment is working, and we are all there are several things we had to do differently, and we're so thrilled about that. And we love you, and this is the Granny Rock Show, and we broadcast every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time, and on Thursdays, we do Beth Green's Magical Piano Improvisations. Waiting for video signal. That wasn't right. That wasn't supposed to happen. Anyway, yes, Beth Green's Magical Piano. So that's Thursdays at 7 p.m. And maybe by next week, there's going to be another piano here. That is going to be... I don't think it's going to make any difference on Facebook, but you never know. You can let me know. So, bless us. Wish us luck. Give us the courage to go ahead and put ourselves out on a limb that is pretty thin in order to do something that we think is important. Because if we don't do it, what is the cost of that? One is we'll never know if this would work, and we'll be haunted by that question. We'll feel that one more time we let an important opportunity pass us by. We don't want that. And we may lose the opportunity to help people more. And that's important. Not to lose the opportunity, but to help. So, I hope to have an announcement for you very soon about our new website, the healingartsexplosion.com, starting with healingartsexplosion.com. But we think we're going to have it early next week. But I'll give you the full skinny when it's actually up. So lots of healing music and lots of power and empowerment for people who are willing to pay the price, which isn't very much financially. You say, oh, I can't afford that. We're giving out free trial memberships. But then the minimum, if for those who can, is $30 a month. And people are, we're asking for more than that if you can do it. But this is healing music. This is music that stimulates the brain and changes us. And can we afford all of the fears of change? And can we afford not to?
There is a very good point.
We'll see. We love you. Thank you for showing up and being with us.
Yes. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.